Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Dota Show. I am Luminous, your host for the Dota Show, at least for today. It is Tuesday, so we're going to be having another segment of Learning with Luminous. But today, before I get onto the segment, a couple of things. This week's episode will be the last week of the Dota Show, and then we're going to have a 2-week break because of the International. So next week is going to be the qualifiers as well as International, and the week after that is traveling, recuperation, and all that stuff. Because I imagine I will not have my voice the week after International. Yes, if you don't know, I will be actually there casting alongside the great casters such as Toby1, AC, Draskell, and all those greatness. Hopefully I don't fall too far behind, and I'll be casting a lot of the qualifiers as well. I don't know what qualifier match particularly I'll be casting because Valve have not released any information on the qualifier match. All I know is there's going to be actually more matches than is physically possible for 2 or 3 casters to cast, because there's like 140 matches, 100 X amount of matches being played in 3 days. That's a lot of matches and not enough manpower to cast all of them. So I'll be casting a lot of international prelim replays afterwards as well, most likely. Yeah, so this week's Dota Show, it is going to be the last week, and then we're going to take a 2-week break, and then we're going to be coming back full force. I don't know the exact date. I'll find out on the Thursday segment. And that is update number 1. Update number 2 about the international as well is that Nebula is going tomorrow. When is he going? He's going Thursday. He's going on the 23rd. And I'm mad jelly about it because he's going to be, not as the caster, he's going to be doing some hosting duties. And as a host, he's going to be there a lot earlier. You're going to see his face quite a bit on the streams. I'm pretty jelly because I like my face to be on stream. And I like to go there early. But alas, that's not it. I'm a little bit sad. I can't go early. I'm actually going to get there on the 29th. So I'm going to stay home, do a little bit of casting for the prelims, travel there, and then do the actual live casting. So that's my plan for the next couple of days. Should be very, very fun. And yes, I think that's enough. Oh, one last thing. I'm not sure if you guys could tell, suffering through a very, very painful stomachache. Right here. It's hurting real bad. But we're professional. We're gonna muscle through that stomachache like it was not there. Okay, alright, today we're gonna be talking about Roshan. And the reason I decided to do Roshan this week, I had a totally different topic planned for this week, but I was like, we're doing the Thursday Roshan challenge, so might as well actually do something about Roshan, because I feel like that's one big part of the pro scene, and it had a beautiful replay that I just casted today that really exemplify a lot of things I want to talk about the Roshan. Now, of course, if you haven't tried the Thursday challenge yet, I really should ask you and your friends to try it out. It's a 5-man challenge. You got to kill the Roshan 3 times in 33 minutes. And one of the rules, as I talk over this helicopter flying by, one of the rules is you gotta announce that you're going into the Roche pit about 15 to 20 seconds ahead of time. Announce it in all chat. We are doing Roche. So 3 Roche in 33 minutes, and announce it ahead of time. I'm not sure if you could hear that. That was like a helicopter fighting jet that flew over. Okay, so anyways, that's the Thursday challenge. If you guys successfully did the challenge, or even if you were not successful the challenge, send the replay to thedodashow@gmail.com, and we'll be casting those replay on Thursday. But yeah, backtracking here today, today's Learning with Lumi episode, because we have a Thursday Roshan challenge, I thought to myself, why not do something about Roshan? And you could definitely apply what you learned here today to the Roshan challenge and make yourself, make your life a little bit easier. Now, earlier when I was saying, we're going to be talking about Roshan challenges today, and I seen people in the chat, I think what Tubbs was typing it, or was it typing? Somebody in the chat was typing, he was like, oh man, all you gotta do is pick Ursa, Skeleton King, free Roche, easy. And that's absolutely right. There's great heroes in the game that are great at doing Roshan. I don't need to list them out. You know it. Things like Ursa, Lycanthrope, Skeleton King, whatever. Insert your auto Roche kill hero, right? There's also a very, very good item for Roshan. Any lifesteal item would be very good. Vlad's is the most popular one because, it's Vlad's, pubs and whatnot. Medallion Courage, one very, very underrated item. Very good for Roshan. And other items I'll get into in a bit as well. But we're not going to talk about that because, you could do that in a public game. You could go smoke in and sneak a Roshan. That's not very interesting. You and I could do that very easily, especially I, which is I'm not very good at Dota, and I could still do it. The other very, very uninteresting factor of Roshan I won't be talking about is the fact that you are fighting the enemy team, you team wipe them, and oh look, Roshan's right there, and you go in and take the Roshan. I mean, that's just elementary, right? You don't need me to tell you how to Roshan at that point. What I'm talking about here is at the highest level game, or in a very high level pub game, where both you and the enemy team know, hey, the last Roshan was at 14:27, so the next Roshan is going to be at 27 or 37, whatever time I just said, plus 10 minutes, right? It is very important to mark down that Roshan timing. We're assuming that both you as well as your enemy will know, and there's going to be some contention, right? That's what you guys are here for, and that's what I'm gonna talk about here is going to be very, very helpful for the Thursday 33-minute 3-kill Roshan challenge, because there is going to be a lot of contention between you and the enemy team. Now, there's going to be three very important topics I want to talk about Roshan, but before we go that, we're going to jump into the replay. Today's replay is from CLG versus IG, match number 3 of Beyond the Summit World Tour Grand Finals. If you guys haven't caught those commentaries, or if you don't have a pass yourself, sorry, I might be spoiling a little bit. The commentary should be up on YouTube, on LD's channel very, very shortly, or if you have the World Tour Pass, feel free to watch it yourself, or if you want to buy the World Tour Pass, even though the tournament's over, there's a lot of great replays. But this is going to be this is game number 3, just awesome, exciting match, and I thought this was a great replay for what I'm going to be talking about. Okay, so there's 3 Roshan in this entire game, and we're going to be looking each one very, very specifically, and talk about the Roshan in many different instances. So actually, before I pause the replay, I'm gonna actually quickly look what we have here on heroes. So on the IG side, we have Shadow Demon, Invoker, Syllabir, Darkseer, and Chen. This team is, when I was casting it, one thing that really came out to me was that they're very, very good at AoE, very good in heads-up team fight. And speaking of Roshan heroes, right, they do have a long-range spell that gives them Sight Shadow Demon's poison. They could send multiple summons into check with the Syllabir as well as Chen. That's a very, very powerful ability to have. As well as Invoker, Sunstrike checks, sending Force Spirit to check, Tornado for sight as well as, initiation. So this team, I feel like they're completely built for Roshan engagement. And not only that, they have the Darkseer, right? Look at how small this AoE is. You can easily vacuum and starting to put heroes over cliff like that. If you drop a wall like this, it's completely game breaking in Roshan engagement. So IG, they have one of the best team for Roshan, and that's absolutely crucial. Meanwhile, on the dire side, right, what do we really have for Roshan hero? I guess Lycanthrope can be considered as a Roshan hero. You can see that he already has the Smoke of Deceit prepared. He has the Medallion Courage as well as the Vlad's. So he's completely ready to go sneak into the Roshan should he find the opening. Of course, I mean, Stormseer is an okay Roshan hero. He's not too good. Remnant being cast over here, things like that could give you sight. Remnant give you flying vision. So if you cast one here, it will see into the Roshan pit. That's pretty decent. I mean, there's pretty good AoE, right? Sand King's decent AoE. Leshrac is decent AoE. Venomancer, we don't want him for the AoE. Sure, Poison Nova gives you AoE, but what he really gives you in terms of Roshan engagement is wards. Wards absolutely everywhere. You see player putting wards here, 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 here. Or if you have enough good position, you keep putting wards here and use those wards as a damaging source. So Venomancer, in my opinion, one of the best Roshan heroes overall. Not because he could kill Roshan very quickly, but because he could give your team... Basically, he could ward for you for free. He could make a line of wards and kind of... discourage the enemy team from charging in, because there's a lot of stuff shooting at you, or he could supplement you with Roshan damage. It's just so versatile as a hero. So both teams have their advantages and disadvantages when it comes to Roshan. I still believe that IG is a little bit better when it comes down to Roshan, but let's see how this game is going to be going. We're 12 minutes in. Not too much action has been happening here. You can see that CLG on the dire side preparing to go for a little bit of pushing. And what this pushing is going to allow, well, it's going to break into a full-scale team fight. And I want you to watch minimap, watch Pink here, as we see the initiation going on Zoe. Look at the chain starting against Zoe. Zoe just has no chance despite being a Syllabir. He's going to go down, the tower goes down, but everybody's going to start this engagement. Nice vacuum backwards disruption. We're going to have a clap. And look at the immediate reactions here. Pika says, hey man, that's a crazy team fight going on mid. I'm not really going to go help out there, but I'm going to smoke right into the Roshan pit and start it off. Now, That's definitely not a really high skill tactic. You could try to do that in public games as well. But one thing that you notice in higher level public games is that people start to catch on to you very quickly. If you play Ursa, if you play Lycanthrope or other good Roshan heroes, people will recognize that. People will start to ward up very big time. People will just go and check him once in a while. The reason why that he's actually getting this off basically undetected was because of this engagement, was because of the push. Most people, when they actually win a team fight or when they have basically when you come out of a team fight, the first thing you look for is, oh, did we win that team fight? I did win that team fight, let's go farm, or let's go defend, let me go heal. That's the first thing that people worry about. They don't win a team fight and be like, okay, where the hell is Lycanthrope right now? That is not the primary worry. And we're seeing this in the very highest level of play perhaps. So, I'm just gonna go cancel this team. So even at this high level play, you can still go for those Roshan sneaks. Because, well, I mean, people's mind don't react that quickly, and Pycat, as soon as he saw the team fight break out, he just completely bulldozed his way in with the Smoke of the Sea, just seizing that opportunity. So even in really high level pub games or even a high level skill game like this, as long as your team is providing distraction, you're going to be able to sneak the Roshan. Which is not the most interesting point I want to talk about. The more interesting point I want to talk about here is this Medallion Courage. I mean, you can see that Lycanthrope and most semi-carries like to pick it up, but even as a support, like if you're playing Vengeful Spirit, Crystal Maiden, if you know that you're on Dire perhaps, or if you know you're going to be doing Roshan very quickly, one of the best items you can get for both hero engagement as well as Roshan is the Medallion Courage. It's very cheap to build up. I think the components are very nicely picked up, and it's always good for you, for your team. Okay, so for the most part, we're not going to care too much about all these team fights. What we are going to pay attention to as we jump around this game is how strong they are throughout each stages of the game, because that is going to be important. For example, if in the next Roshan engagement where we see IG is a lot stronger, then that's going to affect how the Dire team will be participating in the fight. But I'm for now gonna drag the camera on this. Well, actually, you guys could look at me. You guys could look at me since there's nothing really too important to talk about from the game. You guys could look at me. 3 very important points about Roshan, like I alluded to earlier, and I was writing notes for myself so I don't forget. 3 very important. I'm just 3 very important points about Roshan that you shouldn't be forgetting about: preparation, positioning, and assessing the fight, assessing the situation after the fight near the Roshan pit. I'll talk about that a little bit more. Now, what I mean about preparation? Preparation means a lot of stuff, but what are some of the most basic things that you could do for yourself to prepare yourself for the Roshan? I'm looking in chat right now. Feel free to type whatever you think that's very, very important. And I'm sure a lot of people, you guys are going to be... I'm going to take a moment, drink some water, and let you guys tell me what you guys think are a couple of things that you or your team could do to prepare for Roshan. Okay, all right, yeah, a lot of good answers I've seen. My moderator very eloquently says wards, motherfucker. Which, I mean, wards is the important part, but adding the exclamation mark with that phrase, yeah, I like that. Wards, sight, very, very important. And smoke gangs, yes, smoke gangs. I mean, I'll talk about a lot of that as well. Wards is one of the most important thing, and you will see in this game as well a lot of pro replays that the support players get there about 1 to 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes if you really want to make sure that you get the area warded down. It's not just about warding, it's about counter warding as well. Because in a previous warding episode, I do believe it's the 3rd episode of the Dota show, in the warding episode, one thing, it's good to have wards. We can all agree on that. It's more important to eliminate their wards, because you having sight versus them not having sight. Them not having sight is a bigger portion. It's just that element of fear. They don't know what they're dealing with. Not having sight is very important. So counter warding and warding, absolutely crucial. I saw someone said pushing. Pushing is absolutely huge. Something that we don't generally think about, especially when we're playing the pub game. When we're playing the pub game, it's like, oh man, he has a BKB, or I have that Divine Rapier, or I have the MKB. It's all about the big items. It's all about, man, they have the Skeleton King, and we have a Crystal Maiden. It's all about the heroes, all about the items. And I'm going to tell you, and you are going to see in the game just a bit, that a lot of times it's about the creep equilibrium. Sure, you might have the better and stronger heroes, but if the creep equilibrium is constantly in front of your base, you're not going to be able to do Roshan. So that's some of the preparation thing. Smoke gangs, things like that, we're going to talk about more in detail as we jump back in the game. But preparation, one of the most important thing. Second thing is about positioning. Well, positioning, you hear that term being thrown across all the freaking time. What does it really mean, right? Now, I'm not going to hear it tell you, be like, oh, if there's an entire team here, and you're over there, 1v4 an enemy team, obviously you're out of position. Again, that's not a very interesting case to talk about. So as I jump back in the game, I'll talk about individual players' positioning relative to the team, because that, again, very, very important thing when it comes down to Roshan engagement. Lastly, we're going to talk about your... what's the term? After the actual fight, what is your capability of taking the Roshan? Because a lot of teams clash over Roshan, right? Excuse me. And if you're doing the Thursday challenge, you are definitely going to be clashing over Roshan. What do you respond to after that Roshan engagement? How do you respond? Do you actually go straight into the Roach Pit after barely winning a fight? Well, we'll see. Again, another thing that this replay will be pointing out very nicely. So with that, that's the three most important points. Preparation, positioning, and assessing the fights afterwards. So with that, let's actually jump back in the replay and see exactly what stage of the game that we were in. I think the Roshan was taken down about 14 minutes, I want to say. So we basically are 5 minutes past that point. So actually, let's 2x speed through this one. I want to get to about the 21-minute mark, 22-minute mark. That's when you really want to start, going for preparation. But if you look at the tower count right now, you can see that IG has a small lead. I want to say they're up by 1 tower. In terms of farm, let's quickly check out. It's looks like CLG's catching up a little bit. Radiant item-wise, well, the Silver has nothing, but obviously that's fake. Chen has Vlad. I feel like Radiant has a little bit better farm, although the Dire team is catching up very significantly. And I'm cringing right now because my stomach is killing me at this moment. If for anyone that's just joined in, I'm trying to do this Dota show with a huge stomach ache and trying not to be too affected by it. All right, here comes the Roshan. Ooh, gem or Bloodstone gets picked up. So what I'm just gonna do is mow down this tier 2 tower, and this tier 2 tower is so important when it comes down to Roshan. And you hear me say this in cast all the time. If you watch my cast, towers like this is very important. Tower like this one, and also this one, very, very important for the Dire team. So IG has basically done as much preparation as they can for now. They're even going to look towards up pushing on the high ground. Now, you see, what I mean by IG has done as much preparation as they can. One of the things that you want to prepare yourself before doing Roshan, especially this like the second Roshan or even the third Roshan, is make sure you have as much tower advantage as possible. Especially when you're on the Radiant side, trying to do the Dire Roshan. Well, I call it the Dire Roshan. It's not really a Dire Roshan, but I call it a Dire Roshan considering that it's on the Dire side. Yeah, one of the most important preparation tool you could do on the Radiant side is knock down these outer towers. It's not really something that would directly help you in the Roshan engagement, but it's something that will prevent them from buying back and teleporting in, which will make a big difference in those prolonged Roshan engagements. On the flip side, if you're CLG, very important to knock down this particular tower, and maybe this one. The fact that this one is up right now is very, very crucial for the IG team. And you can see that we're just 2 minutes away from Roshan, and there's a couple of things already happening. I'm going to back it up in just a bit. Let's back it up about half a second or so. We're going to see engagement happening before watching the end of the engagement. Right, we're about 2 minutes away from the Roshan. It is 14 when they claimed it, so it's going to be 24. Blink Dagger gets picked up. That's a little bit of visual bug. But look at what the IG team, or CLG, and of course the IG team will be doing. They're both going to be converging towards the Roshan pit. It's a very, very early convergence. Earlier when we saw the push, we saw this ward being dropped down, very, very crucial. These wards are still up. So right now you would see Blink Dagger being delivered. I imagine right now we're going to see wards and sentry wards being delivered. If we don't see sentry ward, that's kind of a bit, I feel like a little bit of misplay here. Do we have sentry ward available? And now this fight will be breaking out. What they wanted to, what CLG wanted to do here before the Roshan fight actually happens. Another very great preparation technique, which you definitely could apply on the Thursday challenge, is the fact that you should go for a gank. You should really go for a big smoke gank. That's something that we saw one of our viewers put down. Go for those smoke ganks. Very unfortunate for CLGs that IG is having the exact same mindset, right? They're like, let's go for a smoke gank as well. And in my opinion, again, IG squad a little bit better in terms of heads-up engagement. So when these two teams ran right into each other, it's really the Dire team that has to back off. Stormster is going to be basically doing here another preparation technique that you can see Misery doing right now is being such a nuisance. He's sitting right here, making sure that Equilibrium never move past this point. And what do you do on the IG squad, right? You want to go for Roshan, but if there's a Stormster constantly pushing your tier 2 here, you can see Lycan just keeping close, threatening to go for Rax if anything ever happens. The preparation they are doing beforehand here for CLG is the fact that they're threatening to push. You can see a Sentry Ward being dropped down here by CLG. CLG, in my opinion, doing all the right thing in terms of warding preparation, getting the smoke gank, and having their heroes in position to do to stop the creep wave, to advance the creep wave. Now, you can only do this when you have very mobile heroes like Storm Spirit, when you have mobile heroes like Lycanthrope. Don't try to do this when you're playing Crystal Maiden. It's not going to work. You're going to get picked off. So CLG really fully utilizing what their heroes are capable of doing, and then just applying. Look at this Misery drawing back YYF. Just such a nuisance. And that is going to draw back a couple guys. These guys can't freely run into the Roshan pit. And this is exactly what I talked about. Venomancer setting up a huge wall of wards. It is going to be annoying. And now Roshan will be back right now. And I want to pause and talk about what we're going to see, because there's going to be so much action happening, and I want you guys to make sure that what we're basically going to know. Now, IG is going to be showing off their summon dominance, if you will. They have so much hand creeps. They have the spear. They could have Force Spear if they want to do so, although he's not going to be using it. They will have the initiation range with the Tornado, with the poison for sight as well. They will have the vacuum. This is one very, very scary Roshan team, right? This is not about preparation. We are in the positional stage of the game. You can see right now that the IG squad, or excuse me, the CLG squad is positioned very awkwardly, right? If the Radiant side, and this is a big if Radiant side had a really good Blink Dagger initiating hero, which they don't, Miracle suddenly would be in a very, very poor position. Same thing with Aki, same thing with IX Dominic 88, which is a Lacoste, by the way. I mean, these guys are very, very spread out. This is what we call normally very poor positioning if the enemy team has a great initiation hero. CLG doesn't, right? What is their actually good initiator? It is, Darkseer, Vacuum, Surge running it. That is the only real legit way of initiation. So it's actually pretty good that they are spreading open. Now, if we are flipping the situation backwards, well, what is IG's positioning? They're positioning it as absolutely perfect. They're not really afraid of this Epicenter combo from Sanking. First of all, it's a level 9 Sanking, so this Epicenter is not too powerful. YYF's got the mech and the pipe. So positioning wise, they're very, very potent. And also, they gotta stick together, right? Chen's gonna have to stick really close to get his Holy Persuasion off. Shadow Demon's gonna stick relatively close to get his Disruption off. And also, you gotta keep in mind, there's a Storm on the enemy side. You don't want to be too far away from each other, and you don't want to get picked off. So let's digest what I talked about, right? There's one team that's very, very far apart from each other, the CLG squad, but I call that good positioning because they aren't dealing with good initiation heroes. And then on the other side, the IG team, very, very clumped up, also very good positioning because they are dealing with this great initiation lineup and they aren't really too afraid of the AoE. So both teams, your positioning is not just about, let's all stick together or, let's all spread open. It's really relevant of what your team can do and what your team cannot do. And right now, both teams positioning themselves perfectly. Now, earlier I was talking about the preparation, how Storm's being very annoying. You can see that this tier 2 tower being sieged up upon. One thing you also want to talk about, which I have neglected to mention, aside from the smokes, aside from the sentry wards, aside from warding down, setting up ganks and whatnot, one thing that you have to be absolutely crucially prepared is the fact that you have your ultimates, you have your necessary spells on cooldown. If you're playing Dirge and you know you're going to be Roshani, don't drop your tombstone for creeps in the jungle, right? You should never do that anyways in the first place. But what it means, like having your spells available, like Darkseer, he will have it available, having the mana to cast your spells. It doesn't matter if you have your Sanking ultimate if you don't have the mana available. And that's one of the bigger blunder we'll see YYF making this game. He is going to start this team fight. We're going to watch it in half speed. He's not going to have enough mana to cast the entire combo. Tornado does pick Lycan up in the air. Unfortunately, he's going to get bashed a couple of times. Oh no. And he's going to get initiated by the net. And suddenly this is cue for Sanking to go into to help his teammate out. I want you to watch YYF's mana right now. He's just losing mana very, very big time. Hand of God comes in. Vacuum nicely done. EMP being drained, but you can see that he's casting this mech, he's casting this pipe, and after casting everything, he does not have the wall replica. He was missing, 200 mana and 300 mana earlier, and because of that, because of the lack of preparation or the mispreparation, does not have the wall replica. And this is a very, very messy team fight, right? No one really wins this team fight. Nobody actually dies. But because Sand King ultimate has been expended, no kill has been done. Because Pycat's ultimate is down. Because Miracle is really low in terms of HP. And Misery, I mean, he's got some mana left, but he can't really go in. Right? Meanwhile, on the IG squad, you know, they did okay, right? Even though they got initiated upon because they have the items, I want to say they won this team fight. Now let's look at quickly. This is the part of the game where we talk about what do you do after that big team fight in the Roshan pit. Well, I mean, nobody won the team fight, so why is IG actually able to do this Roshan? A couple of things that IG is really excelling at this point in the game. They're really excelling in fighting capability. What I mean by fighting capability right now is that if we pause the game, if you imagine that the IG squad right now runs into the CLG squad right now, what would happen? What would happen? I'm looking in chat right now. What would happen if the IG squad runs it into the CLG squad? Well, a couple of things as you guys are answering in chat, and I'm seeing some pretty good answer, right? There's no Sand King ultimate, so a lot of AoE damage is done. There's no Venomancer ultimate. There's no all the big ultimates are down. They're very low in terms of mana. So there's basically zero fighting capability on the CLG side. They can't fight. Okay, that's one thing that you really have to keep in mind. The second thing that you have to keep in mind right now is what's the DPS capability. Sure, the Dire Squad has left you do Roshan as freely as you possibly can. What is the DPS capability against Roshan from the IG squad? Well, they have a lot. They have Syllabare, right? They have a Syllabare that's constantly right-clicking. So because of that, because they have a lot of fighting capability, and because they have a lot of DPS capability, IG could freely take this Roshan, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. Despite that, there is a basically 0-for-0 team fight. Nobody actually died, which, by the way, Misery was he was dropping his teleport scroll. He was thinking about going right into, Seal the Ages, thinks better of it, and turns back. And this fighting capability is something that we don't think too often, because what we're most familiar with is in an engagement is like, oh, we basically team wiped them, so we don't have to worry about fighting capability or DPS capability. When we have 4 guys alive and they have 0, yeah, we have all the fighting capability as well, and we are going to DPS down Roshan. But imagine the following scenario, right? You have a big Roshan team fight right at the pit, and you lost 4 of your guys, they lost their entire team, you have a Crystal Maiden in red health. Right? What does that gonna do for you? Sure, you quote-unquote won the fight. Can you actually Roshan? No, you really cannot, because you don't really have any fighting capability. For example, if they buy back immediately and charge into a Roshan pit, your red HP Crystal Maiden is not gonna do anything against taking a fight near the Roche pit, right? Even if they don't buy back, your Crystal Maiden does not have enough DPS capability to bring down Roshan by herself. So effectively, you're not doing the Roshan. Now on the flip side, let's say it's a 5-for-4 engagement. They lost 5, you lost 4, but you have Ursa alive. Suddenly everything changes, right? You have all the DPS ability in the world. So one thing to keep in mind after this Roshan fight is it's not just a number game. It's who you have alive, who they have alive, and who they don't have alive. The big engagement happening here, which we don't really care too much. I'll leave it on the screen for flashy kind of visual for you guys to see. Oh, big team fight coming out from CLG. And CLG will actually defend here. And they're actually going to take away Zoe's Age as well. This is where CLG begins to really have a firm grip hold in the game when I was casting it. But CLG mostly never really exert their full dominance until much later on, right? The Radiant team's so much better when it comes into 5v5 heads-up engagement because they have so much AoE, because Syllabare is just really good against Lycanthrope overall. You might disagree with that statement, but for overall, what I personally think is that the Radiant is pretty good when it comes down to heads-up engagement, whereas this team's a little bit finesse-based, right? They're a little bit more initiation-based, all about mobility, all about zipping around, blinking around, things of that nature. So we are going to be fast-forwarding to the 33-minute mark or so, because Roshan, I believe it was at 35. So a couple minutes has passed, and right now the Radiant side is still doing a very good job keeping down their outer towers. This one very important that they're keeping up. 32 minutes on, 33 minutes on here. Let's look at the warding, and let's look at the warding that's going to be happening very soon. Everybody keeping their big ultimates on still right now. Ooh, I like the fact that there is a smoke of the sea on Stormsuit. Kind of awkward hero to have it on, but having a smoke on your heroes overall is always a good thing. But what is the Storm and what is the Lycan doing right now? What I talked about earlier, what I alluded to is right now CLG have a lot of mobility, and they can play this hit and run tactic, right? Before the second Roshan, we saw Stormster in this area. He's basically constantly making the creep wave just appear here. making sure that, YY have to come back and defend sometimes. Same thing, like and throw, what we are going to see from him in a couple of minutes, the fact that he's constantly going to be doing this, right? He's constantly pushing this. He's not too far away from the Roshan pit where he can't, pop his shapeshift and run in. But he's constantly applying the pressure. And let me tell you, the distance from here to the Roshan pit is a lot closer than the distance from here to the Roshan pit. And that's a distance that the Radiant team has to travel to. And that goes more back to the Radiant disadvantage that you have when you're playing the Roshan game. In terms of adding to the items, in terms of adding a little bit more to the teamfight capabilities, we do see Sankey picking that level 2 ultimate. That was absolutely huge. So even though Lacoste hit a big ultimate in that engagement, he can't really do too much about it. Roshan should be back really soon. I don't even know why I don't have a clock anymore. Again, the courier, by the way, if you don't believe me, let's go back in just a couple seconds. Yep, the courier is flying back, and that was... What? He had to deliver Sentry Wards. I read this replay beforehand. He was delivering Sentry. There you go, he was. I was going to say, where the hell was the Sentry Wards? He only had one slot left, yeah. This, delivering Sentry Wards, Observer Wards, way before the Roshan. We're 2 minutes before the Roshan spawning, right? He's already delivering. He's got a Sage. I really love this build. Sage, I feel like it's a very underrated item, but that's another discussion for another day. But look at the Sentry Warding placement. He's going to put one here. He's going to put one here as well. What these two Sentry Ward allows you to do is basically cover this entire area. Why do you want to cover this entire area? Well, this one's particularly lovely as a Sentry Ward. It dewards this area as well. This one dewards this particular area, which a lot of Chinese team love to ward. Chinese team loves to ward one here because it gives you the vision across the area. It lets you see this very important strategic point. But you can see that Venomancer puts Observer Ward here, Observer Ward here. Basically, between the Plague Wards and Observer Wards, Aki has warded off every single initiation path available to Radiant side. Radiant could get, they could do something very, very sneaky, do a big wraparound smoking. That's something that we see a lot of teams like Complexity do. For the most part, though, he's completely prepared for this Roshan, which will spawn in just a minute. Let's see what other preparation that CLG is going to be doing. CLG Misery has been at this neutral camp for the longest time. He knows he's not going to get ganked because he's a Storm. Let me show you that there's not many dangerous ganking spells. There is a Hex. That's something that he has to be careful about. But it comes down to position, it comes down to map awareness. Constantly keeping the Creequilibrium over here. You can see Lycan's doing a similar job on the mid lane. And right now, this is a big smoke gank for IG. They want to go for a pick off. They are doing their own preparation beforehand. They want to pick off somebody. And they can't pick off somebody. And I pause right now. At this point in the game, one other big positioning thing I want to talk about is who is actually there at the Roshan pit first. Who's actually there at the Roshan pit first? What does that even mean, right? You can have a really, really good Roshan lineup like the one that IG have right now. But if the enemy team has position on you, it doesn't really matter how good your AoE teamfight is. It doesn't matter how good of Roshan hero is. If they are in the pit or if they have some strategical positioning upon you, it's very, very hard for it to cut in because you're walking up a hill, you're walking up a ramp. It's very easy at them to fire their AoE at you, they fire their stuns at you. Positioning and grabbing that initial positioning is very, very important, right? You would know this for sure if you're going to be attempting the Thursday challenge, which I've been alluding to build-in times. For the people that joined us, the Thursday challenge for this week is killing Roshan 3 times before the 33-minute mark. And one of the rules is you have to announce that you're going to do the Rosh 15 seconds before you walk into the Roshan pit. A lot of people think that's a big disadvantage, right? We're telling them that we're doing Roshan 15 seconds beforehand. I'm going to tell you it's not that big of a disadvantage. Because when you're announcing that Roshan, when you're announcing the fact that, hey, we're doing Roshan 15 seconds from now, right? All 5 of you has already gathered up. For them, if they want to react immediately, they really can't. They're not going to gather an entire team in 15 seconds and then make a beeline to the Roshan. By that point, Roshan's half dead or Roshan's dead, depending what teammates you have, right? If they want to respawn immediately, they're sending 1, they're sending 2, which, 5v2 engagements, it's definitely favorable to you. Either they wait, either they take 20 to 30 seconds to group up and go into the Roshan pit, or they go 1 and 2 and you easily pick them off. So right now what I'm trying to say about positioning is that a lot of time it's not about, it's great to have things like big AoE vacuum, it's great to have Sanking ultimate, but half of the teamfight engagement, half the positioning is about who's getting there first. And right now, IG, they got there first, and they have a huge distinctive lead. And before I jump back to the replay again, one thing that you want to remember when you're doing challenges is a lot of times you want to be grouped up as 5, and as you're going there, you announce that 15 seconds, we're going to be doing Rosh. And that might sound like a disadvantage. They might come at you. You're probably going to get a couple kills and then kill Roshan, right? Against a very well-coordinated team, if you have the positional advantage like IG does, the IG team is right here. And there's one guy here. There's one guy here. There's one guy. I mean, you can have all the wards in the world. You have all the preparation done. But if you don't have your dudes at Roshan, it's so difficult to claim back this positioning. And this following play from CLG is the reason why I select this replay. Just beautiful, beautiful way to react to this, right? They're like, oh shoot, we don't have this Roshan positioning, right? We actually can't go into Roshan. First of all, we're not that strong. We can't really take the Roshan. Look at the great position. Like the creep William just pushed forward out. They can't do it. Look at Storm exactly what he's doing. Well, can't do Roshan. Let's just go for the Rax trade. I'm gonna pause and talk about this, right? So if you're IG, what do you actually do? If you're IG, you know you're stronger at the Roshan. Jesus, what? This guy's been working out. You know you're stronger at the Roshan. You have great position advantage. You are pushing the wave. You have done all that you could, right? And now you see CLG doing this to you. What is your response? There's two particular responses that CLG could do, or IG could do. IG could immediately back up, go maybe walk up this ramp and start all porting back and defend this, right? If they do that, again, a path from here to the Roche pit is a lot shorter than a path from here to the Roche pit. And of course, these three guys are available. If IG backs off right now, they give up that position they really, really difficultly earned for themselves. They basically give up the third very, very crucial Roshan for the Aegis. If they don't do this, well, and IG definitely did not do this, what's going to happen? Well, Lycan Wolf pushes your tower. That's what's going to happen. So IG makes a very, very bold play. And I got to say, CLG's play just made me fall in love with them. Such smart split-second decision making. Faith's going to TP back, and look at Lacoste. This Burrow Strike that canceled the TP, in my opinion, really, really won them the game, in my opinion. I mean, sure, Zoe picks up the Aegis. Ferrari picks up the cheese. He's going to have to use the cheese right here. But really, what advantage have the IG squad really gained, right? Really nothing. Well, I mean, they gained the Aegis, but the Aegis is definitely not going to help them take down this Roshan. I mean, sorry, let me rephrase what I say. As we see, Storm start picking people off, using the mobility and whatever else. Having the Aegis definitely will help you in the next team fight, in the next push. That's definitely true. But having a for sure Rax, like at this stage of the game, 36 minutes in the game, and losing a couple of heroes, they lost Chen and whatnot. CLG is in a beautiful positioning. So let's go back to what we talked about earlier, right? We talked about positioning, which IG completely dominant in. And, what we normally expect in an engagement like this is that the other team, right? Imagine if CLG is a lesser team. They would try to, again, jam in and force a team fight. Not only would they have lost a team fight because they don't have as good as positioning, it's because they would lose a team fight, they would lose the Aegis, and perhaps even lose their very crucial mid-racks. That dog better shut up or I'm going to go cook him. Instead of doing that, they circumvent the entire problem. They're saying that you have the better fighting capability of the Roshan, you have the better DPS capability of the Roshan. God damn it.
Impurities.
So instead of going to the Roshan, they just went for the best trade move, right? They forced CLG, or they forced IG to come between a rock and a hard place, and those two places aren't, where you really want to be. So CLG pulls off a very, very spectacular play. I'm not going to ruin the replay for you, although, it's 8 to 9 right now. So if you want to watch it, the commentary is still available. And that really summarized what we talked about this game. First, preparation. Warding, having your spells ready, having the cooldown ready, having the mana ready. Remember that YYF didn't have the mana for the wall illusion. Would it have mattered? Probably not. But could it matter? In some instances it would. So always have your mana, always have your cooldown ready. Always have wards up, 1-2 minutes before, and try to set up a smoke gank. If you get a smoke gank takeoff, that's absolutely huge. Second thing we're going to talk about is positioning. We saw the positioning of both teams, how one team wants to be spread out, how one team wants to be together, and of course the concept of being there first, very, very crucial in terms of winning the Roshan. And lastly, after big Roshan engagement, like that second Roshan engagement we saw, when there's one team that's winning, one team's just losing. Oh, after the Roshan engagement, don't forget who won the team fight, right? In that engagement, that great example in the replay was 0 versus 0. Nobody died. But the CLG team backed off because they realized, well, we can't fight this. We don't have our ultimate anymore. They have Celebrate full HP. So they realized that, well, we don't have that much fighting capability. They backed off, right? This is actually a full circle. Let me connect the full circle. Right now, it's like step 1, step 2, step 3. How does it fully connect, right? It fully connects back to the positional part, right? After that initial engagement, right? After the Roshan engagement, we're investing in fighting capabilities. We're calculating, DPS capability. It goes back full circle when the other team decides to buy back, right? Having buyback is one of the biggest preparation moves that you can do. Having the buyback and ability to buyback and TP into tower, keeping your exterior tower up, right? One of the preparation that you do want to do when you're doing the Roshan is pushing down towers. One of the things that preparation that you do want to have if you're trying to protect the Roshan, keep your towers alive, allows you to buy back and have really easy access into Roshan. Preparation in terms of warding, in terms of positioning, grabbing decent position, fighting the Roshan, and should you lose in the Roshan, you could have the availability of buyback, which go back to the positioning of having money available, having the towers up. So that's the full circle of Roshan for me. I hope that has been helpful. And again, the Thursday challenge, Roshan challenge, I hope to see you guys have applied some of the stuff that I talked about here into those public games. And public games, it's going to be a lot easier in terms of half the times, not both teams would know that Roshan's going to spawn at 24-37, right? So you're going to have a little bit of leeway here. That's why I'm telling you guys to announce the 15-second rule beforehand. That's going to be it for the Roshan thing here today. I'm going to pop out and see any questions you guys might have. And I'm doing pretty good on time. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good on time. What's the CD of the Roshan Lincoln thing? I imagine it's 15-20 seconds. I'm not sure. I say 15, or maybe even 10. Although that doesn't matter too much. Someone says 15, so. Yeah, one thing about Roshan, there's a couple of spells in the game that instantly cancel the Lincoln Sphere and also applies the effect. I know the old Cold Snap and the old Kofi did in Dota 1. Not sure if both of them still do it in Dota 2. Lincoln Sphere is a great example. Another reason why you want to buy it for Roshan engagement. Not only does it cancel the Lincoln Sphere block, it also applies the minus armor, which is very, very important when you have a slaughter on your team, because you don't want that damage amp get blocked. You want to cast something, get the amp on, and yep. 15 is the confirmation. Any more? What are the best heroes who counter level 1 Roshan? What are the best heroes to counter level 1 Roshan? This is asked by Opa. Alright, Opa, really what counters level 1 Roshan isn't the hero, but the fact that you discover them doing Roshan. You gotta keep in mind when they're doing Roshan, they're actually forgoing a lot of their best spells, right? Vengeful Spirit, instead of getting Magic Missile, they're getting Terror. Venomancer, instead of getting the Gale, they're getting Wards. Beastmaster, instead of getting Axis, he's getting either the Hawk, so the Enigma could summon over it, or he's getting the Beastmaster Aura, the Inner Beast Aura. Enigma, instead of getting his Malefice, is getting Eidolons to kill the Hawk for. You get the picture, right? They're not getting their best spells. So in a heads-up engagement, if you discover them, you are gonna crush them. You're gonna crush them. So the fact that being discovered, versus not being discovered, that's all the difference it makes. 99% when it comes down to level 1 Roshan, when you are discovered, you are in big trouble. And that's why in the Thursday challenge, that first Roshan, it is gonna be the deciding Roshan. If you don't get the first Roshan off, the challenge basically fails right there. So level 1 Roshan, it's all about just getting sight. All about getting sight. Okay, I think that's most of the questions we have. Yeah. Okay, Okay, yeah, that's all the questions we have. Thank you guys for tuning in. Seems like we do have a lot of great viewers. Tomorrow's The Dota Show is not going to be on this channel. It's going to be on Twitch TV/LD Dota. If you haven't bookmarked his site, please go to do so right now. Or you could watch it on DotaCommentaries.com because every day it is going to be there, 7 p.m. Pacific. And tomorrow is going to be LD talking about heroes. I don't know exactly what particular heroes he's talking about. And he told me I am just getting old and I'm forgetting. And of course, the Thursday challenge, the 20th time I'm talking about it, is going to be the 3 Roshan kills in 33 minutes. It's going to be back here, and I'm going to be casting the replay. You can submit the replay, by the way, at thedotashow@gmail.com. And yes, I'll be looking forward to your replays. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am Lunas from DotaCommentaries.com. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. GG, guys. I sounded like Husky right there, right? Isn't that what he said? I'll see you guys next time.